Welcome to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast. This is a bonus episode. Bridget and I were doing our 2023 reflections, and we got so inspired by it. We always feel like the behind the scenes are really what is valuable to share, like what we're going through, some things that worked, some things that didn't work for us, and talking about our goals for next year in 2024. So if you are interested in a topic like this, we highly recommend you following along. I don't think that we spend enough time on our reflections in general, which is really what helps propel us forward in
It's so
business.
funny because I always love listening to podcast episodes where where the host goes behind the scenes and really shares like what's going on in the business, what's working well, like what strategies are they using, just to kind of hear from someone else's opinion because it's not often that we get to look under the hood of someone's company and everyone like see how it's have all these car analogies, see how it's run, like see what's going on, and I was like, wow, like we need to do this more, Lydia. And this was just like so timely and perfect. We have Find Your Irresistible out right now. We're doing like a holiday sale on our digital course that really helps you do that oil change. You need that branding tune up, you need that messaging tune up. So we have all the details like in the group. If you are interested in Find Your Irresistible, we have a really great sale going on until December 19th. So whether you're pivoting, whether your business is evolving, you feel like the message is outdated and you want to, look at some of these things for yourself, whether it's your messaging, your positioning, your values, the personality, we have everything covered in our course, actually created by Lydia. So all the details
Hello.
are below.
This is actually so perfect because we Find Your Irresistible is the exact type of business, the exact type of course it's going to help you in the following year. It helps you look at the foundations, like what's your authenticity of your business? What are the core values? What's the brand personality? What is the positioning and the messaging? Those are the types of details that are going to inform literally everything in your business. So if you feel like the business is working, but it just like needs a little refresh and a little revamp, like this course is for you. And so with that type of spirit, looking at things of what we actually need to be adjusting and fixing in order to really like thrive in the following year. Bridget and I are going to go through our own personal questions of VOP reflections, like what worked for us in the business, what didn't work, and our goals for next year. So I guess we'll just like go through the questions and
We'll
talk
just
about
go through.
them.
Yeah, and as you're listening, you're welcome to like write some of these down. I feel like it's not often that we do take the time to ask ourselves these types of things. So yeah, we should start. We're not going to like name any names or anything like that, but our first question was around who have been some of our best customers that we have and what are some of their qualities. And the reason for that question is because when we can see the patterns in how that person shows up, what is their background, what do they like, just all of those like target market questions that you'd ask yourself naturally as a business owner, you can start to see the patterns of like the people that you truly desire to be working with. So for us, let's kind of, without sharing names, what were some of the overviews that we realized with some of our best clients?
Yeah, I think that our best clients were the ones that really understood personal accountability. So for all of our courses, they require you to like actually do the work, not to just talk about it. And what we found is when clients were up to speed, whether we were running a course live or it was digital, they kept themselves accountable and up to speed on the work. Those are the ones that were really, really getting the results. And then it was exciting for us because we got to see the transformation and really like help them with any questions that they had along the way based on the work that they were doing. So, especially in like the live courses that we ran, it was kind of, and this is like fully transparent, it was kind of frustrating if we were to show up and some clients weren't doing the work or like the weekly homework just because I didn't even know where to start with them. I mean, of course we can like talk about our course and like what the theme is for that week. Like, say we were talking about brand positioning, but when we have something to work on, like everybody gets value from it. Not only does the client get value from it because they get real live, like real life support and they get really catered, answers that can really help them move forward. But everyone else in the group and live was able to see like different examples and how we can help them how we can help them also adjust their messaging or brand positioning as well. So I don't know about you, Bridget, but like I learn really, really well from other people's examples.
Sure.
So yeah, so not when everyone's not showing up with their homework, quote unquote, it can be difficult and it can impact the group.
Yeah, I think like one thing that, we've been in business for almost a year. January will be 1 year officially in business, although we've been running these courses together before that, is that we have, because there are a lot of courses out there and even like group programs that are much more just like transformational in general, where it's not necessarily like you have homework to do. I think it's
Yeah.
been, we've somewhat struggled to articulate that you need to do the work to see the results
Yeah.
here. This is not like we don't have pay to play, you can't pay for our courses and get a placement without actually doing the work, because that's not how we operate.
Right.
That's not like, we're talking about earned media here. It's all organic.
Mhm.
That's what we teach you exactly how to do. So, I think because there are so many different things that people have invested in that might just give them something right away,
Mhm.
I think we have struggled to articulate, that this is for a business owner who is super hardworking. They're super educated. They
Yeah.
have business acumen. A lot of our clients and some of the people that we love working with, they have a high level of education or professional experience, maybe even a corporate background. So it's like they're kind of used to doing the work, and maybe they're in the beginning stages of like building their team out. They might still be doing their socials, but at the end of the day, yeah, some of the best people that we've worked with have been those ones that just like hit the ground and running. And I think us asking ourselves this question has been like really valuable information,
Mhm.
because we are so grateful for every single person that we've ever worked with, because we know that they were part of our life and our community for a reason. And at the same time, these types of inquiries for ourselves and for the
Mhm.
business going forward just give us information. It's like, okay, we can take this information and then say, we want to go in that similar direction toward what feels, best for us.
Yeah, yeah. And pattern recognition is really important. So, like, we've noticed pattern wise that the clients that are going to be really fun for us and also get the results that are going to, like, they're the reason why we have our courses. They're the ones that are getting the results. It's going to just help us in the languaging that we're using moving forward. So, like, these types of business owners that are doing really well in our courses, why were they purchasing our courses? What was the interest for them? How can we change our copy moving forward to attract more of those types of business owners? And I do want to share too that like there have been some clients that are like definitely special where maybe they didn't have, like a high level of quote unquote education, but they're somebody that's like a super go-getter. So like there were those types of things. It was like interesting because the patterns that we were seeing were like either they had a high level of education or a corporate background, or they were a big go-getter, maybe if they didn't have those, and or they had both. So at the end of the day, we're like, okay, we know that we want to hit these types of people. Those are the people that are really gonna get the results, which also makes us like feel good. That's why we created this company in the first place. It's like, let's get business owners more visible. Let's help them get the recognition that they deserve, this like really desired earned media.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next question I want to go through, and I'm not going to pick all of these, Lydia,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
this is a helpful one for everyone. Who are our ideal customers and what is their background? And I picked this one too, although I just kind of answered this question previously. This has changed for us.
Yeah.
This is really morphed, and it's really interesting when we actually look back at, we first ran this program in probably 2022, like Visibility on Purpose as like a PR kind of incubator. And when I look back at the copy that we were using then, it is extremely different to what we're
Mhm.
using now. And we had a huge, like, I've been a yoga teacher for a really long time. We connected through like a spiritual metaphysical community. So it's kind of like our entry point. Into business for both of us. And we definitely were working with those people. One of the first workshops we ever ran that was like kind of a lead magnet was called Becoming an Energetic Match for Top Tier Media. It was a really, really good workshop, but even that type of language, it
Mhm.
spoke to a very, very specific type of business owner. And as I think back on, who we were targeting then versus like a little bit of like what we've shifted into now, which is, really business professionals. They might be authors, but they're small business owners, potentially product-based companies in real estate, in the financial industry, interior designers, holistic practitioners. They might even be like nutritionists or doctors. It's really, really shifted. So I just like had that reflection as I was even seeing that question.
Oh, yeah. And what we've realized is that copy words are so important. And it's funny because we teach this inside of our courses when
Yeah.
we're helping you craft your pitch. We're like, okay, well, does that make sense for your ideal clients? Or does that make sense for the media content to understand so that they are interested in learning more about your work to get you on these podcasts and publications and whatever? So it's funny that we had this reflection for ourselves. And sometimes you just need either somebody else to reflect it back to you, which is why courses are so important. It's like they give you the exact like questions to ask yourself to be like, oh,
Right.
or we need to take the time to be like, okay, let's like take a look at what went well and what didn't go. I think that's like one thing that we do really well inside VOP is like after each launch, we both have really sat down and discussed like what worked and what didn't work. And just that reflection period, even what we're doing right now, is so important because now we're even clearer to our ideal audience. And this is going to shift and change like as you evolve as a business owner or as your business evolves. So this is like ever evolving, which is why we're like, find your irresistible is so important because it's gonna help you take a look at your business. But I digress. I think it's so important when we're looking at who we want to attract. What are those language points that we're using? Like becoming an energetic match, we still believe this is freaking important. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you need to be able to not energetically block yourself because even on like a very tangible level, if you're not quote unquote confident and you want to hide, you're obviously not in your visibility era just yet. So it's like, how do we be confident when you're starting to move out of that fear and into the spotlight? You're going to be more confident. You're going to answer the interviews better. You're going to do all of these things, which is going to like inform everything. Like, so we do think that that's still important, but do we want to come out of the gates with that language? No.
Right. Super interesting. Okay, so that question was who are your ideal customers and what's their background? So if you're listening, you should definitely write that one down. The next thing that we asked is where do your ideal customers, where are they spending most of their time? And I kind of meant this from like a digital perspective. Like where do they hang out as a business owner? So it might be they hang out in like an online community or like a Discord channel. I don't know. But we wrote that, most of our current ideal customers and ideal students and clients are likely part of like mastermind groups, networking groups, and the most important thing is that they're very strategic in their use and time on social media. I think that was a big aha for us, especially like as we go through the rest of the questions, just like the social media aspect of our business and what's gonna remain the same and what's gonna change. But yeah, that was an interesting question. Do you have anything else to add on to that one?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give them examples because I feel like this was so important. So originally when we talked about this, we're like, oh, they hang out on Instagram. This one does on Facebook. This one does on TikTok. And then we were thinking about the patterns within these people. And it was like, okay, the one that's on Instagram that we were thinking about, this ideal client where they spend their time, it's on Instagram. He uses AI to help him make really, really cool aesthetic reels. And so, like, obviously, there's a strategy behind that. So, yeah,
Right.
he's hanging out on Instagram, but he's also probably batching his episodes. He's probably you can tell he's using like this cool AI system. And then we were thinking about our ideal client that's on TikTok. She very much is using TikTok as a lead magnet for her spiritual work. And so that was ideal for us. And she's a super go-getter, and like that makes sense. And then our other one that we're thinking about is a health practitioner. She hangs out on Facebook and Instagram. She makes a ton of reels, but she also does a lot of sales outreach on these platforms too. So all of them have strategies behind it. It's like if they're not using AI to grow their follower count, or they're not talking about their business to specifically do lead magnets for their upcoming workshops and courses, they're doing sales. And that's what the pattern recognition was. It was like, yeah, they're using these social platforms, but they have an entire really like catered strategy behind it. They're
Yeah.
not just like on there like messaging underneath like, oh, I hope you're having a good day, blah, blah, blah. And just like, we can all get there. We can get distracted. It's so easy, but they're really working in these social platforms.
One of the best things I ever did, I don't know if I've told you this, I have newsfeed eradicator
What's that?
on my computer. So like when I go on Facebook, I don't actually see anything besides my notifications. So I just see what I have to answer.
Wait, what? You can do
Like
that?
I don't have, it's not a feed. I'm not seeing anyone else's things.
That's actually okay. I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like I would want to be in the know for certain things, but I
Mhm.
also I'm like, how do I really use this platform? I use it very catered for, ooh, that's like really cool. Do you do that in settings?
Yeah, it's like a Chrome extension. So it's on my computer. I think there's one, so on my phone, full transparency, I can see everything. So I do get sucked in from there, but I think I'm gonna look into doing it on my phone too. It's
That
really
is
helpful. I just like the
honestly,
boundaries with the tech.
I think that that's a great, okay. I posted about this in our Facebook group this morning, but I was like, hey, like, how does everybody feel about the highlight feature on Facebook? Are you actually getting more engagement from it, or is it frustrating you? And everyone was writing underneath, like, I'm so over it. I don't want this highlight feature anymore. And I think that it is so overused and abused. Like,
Is that the
I
same
am
as
getting
the everyone thing though? Because I do use that sometimes.
everyone is specifically for a Facebook group, and I think that makes sense. So, like, say if we're doing something like giving away something for free, I want everyone in the Facebook group to see it.
True. Fair.
Makes sense. But this is the highlight. Highlight is like everyone that you've ever balloons. Highlight is like everyone that you've ever followed on that has ever followed you on Facebook. So if I write a post and tag highlights, I'm gonna get flagged from somebody that I haven't spoken to in 100 years, didn't even know that we're still friends on Facebook, and I'm like, crap, I mean, I guess it's been like a pretty good, refresh to start deleting people.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah,
was my thought. I was like, oh, this is a perfect way to know who, you want to be connected to or not. So
Mhm.
that's funny. Okay, next question was, okay, I love asking this, like just from messaging context, is
Yeah.
what makes this person invest? Because I'm very interested in like buying behavior and buying decision making because it's not always just direct. And I love how Seth Godin in many of his books, but mostly in his book, This is Marketing, talks about status and affiliation. And he talks about how, people don't just buy a product to buy a product necessarily. There's usually a reason why they invest in a certain brand or a certain company, and it's because it has to do with their values. And I was actually at Weiss, this like grocery store. I don't know if you have them in South Jersey. Do you have
No,
Weiss's?
no.
It's just like a, chain grocery store basically.
Yeah.
And in my mind, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods are like way better in terms of the best because it's better quality. Like I'm going to be able to get my organic stuff, but it's more money. So all of this is arbitrary and it's all based on someone's values. So I'm in Weiss and this woman's like, I love coming here. They just have this is just the best. She's like, I've been to all the other places, but they don't have the best. But what she meant by best was the price is the cheapest. So she was putting value
Mm.
on top of food where she wants the cheapest thing. So all of this entire story is to articulate the point that like people buy for very interesting reasons and it's not just directly because they need the product or service. There might be something deeper as to why they buy. So like for us in Visibility on Purpose, why do our potential customers or clients, why do they invest? They invest for, status, affiliation. They want to do things that others in their industry aren't doing. They want to be the best. They want to make more money. They want the results. They know PR can get them to the next level. They want the credibility and they want the clout. Like it's as simple as that.
Yeah, super, super simple. And that also helps us think about, again, going back to that copy piece of like, do we have all of those things even in our copy? Like we
Or
were
just
just talking of, yeah, we were just talking about that we've never put clout, that word, in our copy. And we're like, we should put that in our copy because that's important. Like actually one of my PR clients reflected that back to me the other day. She was just like, oh, somebody, I think what happened was she was telling me that somebody else wanted PR potentially, and she was going to like refer them to me. But she's like, yeah, I just told her that like for me, publications and editorial are for the clout. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. And it is, it's for clout. Like now she can start a seminar by saying she's a, Forbes featured health practitioner or whatever. And like that is really, really shiny. When somebody hears that, they're going to listen to you. When someone reads that, they're going to immediately associate Forbes with her. And that already like puts you in a different like status bracket.
1000%. Yeah, whenever I see, people in their bio have where they've been featured or even on a website, I think it's somewhat subconscious as well. And this might just be how we're like trained as humans, honestly, to see like status.
Yeah.
But when I see that on someone's website, it shows me something about themselves. It shows me that they're likely a leader in their industry. Like that's what I'm thinking right away. So this is why our clients would, invest in understanding how to do this for themselves. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like if you're going to be associated with one of the top publications in the world, like of course you're going to be seen as a leader or like a thought leader or an expert or whatever. So it's just, language is so, so important. So I'm really happy we did that question. That was like one of my favorite ones. And for everybody to know, Bridget came up with all of these questions and they were bomb.
They
One of
were
them I
pretty
wrote,
good.
they were really good. One of them underneath I wrote in caps and in bold. I was like, great question. They were good. Okay, so the next one is what have you done that you really enjoy? And this was great because we're business partners, obviously, as you know. And some things that Bridget loves, I do not love. And so, how do we delegate those tasks moving forward so we can stay in our zone of geniuses and not get burnt out? Or
And
if you're like a solo entrepreneur too, like how do you delegate to your team?
I think that, in this year of starting, we've said this numerous times, like we were just gonna both do everything because we
Yeah.
wanted to kind of test, what did we like, what didn't we like? Because I think again, when you're in your own silo of running your own thing, it's just you're doing everything anyway, unless you're delegating it to a team. So like transparency, it's Lydia and I doing everything. Like we're the ones setting up the funnels, we're the ones scheduling the emails, we're the ones doing the social. However, based on this conversation and numerous previous ones that we've been having, we are expanding so that we can stay in our lanes of genius. So it was really interesting. What did you share, Lydia? What did you write? What did you enjoy?
Yeah. Well, both Bridget and I had very similar things that we enjoy, which I'm not surprised. That's why we're like in business partnership, but we both really, really enjoy networking, in-person connection. We've said from the start that VOP, one of its main pillars is human connection. So like authentic human connection, not like, we're chit-chatting on the internet with people, but like we're getting to know them on a deeper level outside of business. It also helps, like, how many times have you referred or worked with somebody because you just really like them? Like, there's so many people in your industry. How do you set yourself apart? Yeah, we can do all the branding things, and that's so effing important. But if nobody knows about you or if you don't have any connections with people, like, it's such an important piece of the puzzle. So we both have noticed that that's like a huge thing that we both enjoy. And so, how do we capitalize on that moving forward? And then let's see. I personally, okay, this is something that like I freaking love. I love doing some of our branding stuff. I find it really like exciting and creative for me. I didn't realize how much I love aesthetics. I think it's like feels like an art form.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And you've always like enjoyed that a little bit more. And she means like the visual elements. So yeah,
Like
fun fact
graphics.
about our company, Lydia is behind everything looking pretty. Because if this was me, everything would just be rainbow, random colors with random fonts.
You know what I think it is? I think you're good at making things pretty, but you're also a very diverse person, which is like something that I love about you. So you're like, today I'm feeling really rainbow and beautiful. And then you're like, we're going to use rainbows in this font. And you're like, tomorrow I'm feeling like a little edgy. And so it's funny because like what we've noticed is branding like on a scale of like looking at it, helping a brand look and feel a certain way. It's important to like have the same fonts and to have like a similar color scheme. So Yeah, anyways, it's been funny to like look at what we enjoy and what we don't enjoy, or even what's our natural talents. Like Bridget is so effing good at doing these like back end types of organization. And what's interesting is it's like then you go into what are you good at, but what do you not want to do all the time? Like I might be good at branding stuff. Do I want to do it all the time? No, it's freaking exhausting. How many posts do we do a day on all different platforms? And same with Bridget being amazingly good at the back end structure, and she's created a whole database for us. But like, does that feel like she wants to be like behind the scenes, like plugging away at this whole database the whole time? Like, no.
I think that was one of the most illuminating things about this whole exercise. It was the things that we love to do are genuine, like that's across the board, very similar for both of us. But the things that we are good at but don't love, that's kind of what we've like been doing for the company. But we're very aware for things to grow in the way that we desire to grow. We know that we can't be the ones doing the little tedious activities. And I'm sure like if you're listening to this, there are aspects of your own business where you are the one, trudging away. And it's like, what I really want to be doing is I want to be, having the community events. I want to be in front of people. And so does Lydia. Like we both wrote down the same things around we love teaching. We love
Mhm.
leading our workshops, like those mini workshops that we've done. We've done so many of those. And
So
we just
fun.
love doing that. And you know what we love? This podcast.
We freaking love the podcast. We're like, what if we spend all of our time doing the podcast? But that will be a big push for 2024 is like really nurturing the podcast because we've realized like how much fun and how much value this podcast is. I mean, this whole podcast is like a crash course on business partnership, media. Like we've had some of the top people in the media industry on our show. We've had people that are doing the work. We had a TV expert that's been on like every freaking local show across the United States and now has her own. Like we've had a media professional that has been writing for the top publications in the world. She's done BBC, she's done Bustle. She's done, what else do we have here? She knows. She's
Marie
done
Claire.
Marie Claire, like
Oh,
crazy. Yep, Elle, crazy, crazy things. So it's just like, it's so valuable. More people need to hear this show. We're so passionate about it. Anyways, really
we're
went
just
off on a
having fun
tangent.
with it. And you know what? This is one of those things where, how can I say it? Like directly monetarily, we don't know if this podcast necessarily brings us money, correct? Like currently. Like we don't have ads running, so we don't know. And I think part of our leap for next year is to not necessarily have it be so linear, and
Mhm.
to just really put our time and effort into the things that we're extremely, extremely good at, the things that bring us the most joy, where we're in our zone of genius, which is teaching, speaking, connecting, bringing community together. And this podcast has all of those things. And I'm sure that this podcast has, helped our business financially. Um, but yeah, what point
Yeah.
am I trying to make?
I mean, I think the point you're trying to make is when you are able to share your genius in a way that doesn't feel salesy and feels good for you, it's also going to generate sales because by us talking about the media industry and business, we are putting ourselves at an expert level. And so when our audience members are listening to all of this value, they're going to trust us and they're going to end up purchasing our products. Like they're not going to, I mean, how are people buying these days? They're not buying from looking at an ad. Maybe if it's perfectly hitting exactly what they're looking for. But at the end of the day, like me as a consumer, when I'm listening to a podcast, number one, I'm already interested in the topic. So if somebody's coming to us, they're likely going to be interested in learning how to step into their visibility era, or they're interested in the media or something like that. But number two, they're going to listen to our expertise and then want more through our courses because this is only a taste. I mean, this is surface level. I mean, it's good, but it's just not surface level, like scraping the surface. That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm like, we go pretty deep. Never mind. Scraping the surface.
okay, next question. In an ideal world, what would your role and responsibilities be? List it out.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Okay. Um, so podcast. podcast, we said personality, podcast personality. Yeah, hosting, like, I think what I said to Lydia when we were having this talk, I said, want to hear my ideal day, Lydia? It's me waking up, it's me doing my morning routine, which I've shared on the show before. It's getting ready for a podcast. Maybe we record one or two. We have like a cool guest on, but someone else is doing all the editing, all the production, all of the scheduling of the posts, all of the Canva things, all the communicating with the guests, because currently that's us. Then maybe we'd have, a community event that we're hosting in person. So I flew down to Delray Beach so that I can, be there for our in-person community event. And then Lydia, on Fridays, Lydia and I have our company meetings for the high level vision of the company. And like, then I'm speaking somewhere the next day. Like, that is my ideal day.
I love you keep saying your ideal day, and it was like an entire week of events, but I know what you meant. You're like, my ideal day is doing all this stuff, then flying to Florida. I was like, wait a second.
That is definitely me. I'm like, let's fit in 100 things. Kind of like when you go to
My
Europe.
ideal day is a whole year.
Well, okay, I'm so guilty of this. Whenever I've gotten better at this. When Eric and I would go on vacations, I was like, let's do everything.
Oh gosh, I've been there.
Everything. No, yeah, now we're better. Now we're better.
Oh God, it's so funny. Every single time I've gone to Europe, no fail, I'm like, we could fit in 15 like cities, and it's always the worst idea. By the end, you just remember walking or transportation. So if anyone is listening, going to Europe soon, do not do that. You should definitely spend some time in like one place. Um, okay, so for an ideal world, responsibilities. So, my role and responsibilities, I really like the visionary type of role. I also am really, really good at doing the day-to-day tasks. So this was a eye-opening thing for me because I realized a lot of these questions that I'm answering, it's like me taking accountability also for the things that I've been doing or settling for that I don't necessarily want to do. Like if I told Bridget tomorrow, hey, I want to get an intern to help me delegate all of these tasks so I can sit more on the visionary seat. She'd be like, oh my God, do it. So it's funny. It's funny that we don't even allow ourselves to reflect on this type of stuff. Like, even as a business partnership, we both trust each other so much that, like, if she were to make a game time decision, I would be like, cool with it. Like, I feel like we share the same brain sometimes when it comes to this business. And I'm just like, okay, sounds good. So that was one of them for me. Another one was I do not like the launch model. So for me, an ideal day is to have everything be evergreen and digital and just be showing up in our genius and people just purchasing our courses because they are providing value for their business. And we both actually were talking about that as ideal for us. It's more just like Bridget and I, like, we both really want to just be constantly providing value in inner zone of genius. And we want to be able to create community and networks so that we can really just like let our business thrive from that perspective. So we both have just like so many goals of how we're going to move things forward next year, which is like so much fun. But yeah, this question really blew my mind. It was a good one.
Yeah, and you also said something that was illuminating for me too, because I feel this too, which is we both trust each other so much, but at the same time, we feel like we need to go to each other for permission, with like ideas and stuff like that. And it is funny because we both trust each other, but we still feel like we need the approval of the other person. So I think like we've always been so grateful that we have an open communication. We say things when we feel uncomfortable. Like we've been able to do that, but the approval one, we've never actually vocalized, but we both felt.
Yep, we both felt it. I literally wrote down like something I would love to do is work a little bit more on the website and the website copy, but I haven't actually articulated to Bridget that I haven't touched it because I feel like I need her approval to move forward. And she's like, that's so funny. I always feel that way for certain things too. And I'm like, what? Why don't we just do it and tell each other later? So I think this was like a nice permission slip for us to just, again, just validate the fact that we both really trust each other. And if we feel like something is off, to just go for it.
Yep. Yep. Okay, now we're moving into like the next steps of growth. Well, do we want to say the simple tasks that can be outsourced? Do you think this is helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. We're
Outsourcing
gonna
is so important.
Yeah, this has been hard for us. We have the same
Yes.
philosophy because we were the group project people who did the whole group project in high school and college, both of us.
You guys know what
So
we're talking about. Like, if anybody, if they were like, oh, like we're gonna do group projects, get in your group of five, I would be like dreading it because I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to do it. Like, I'm gonna have to do the whole thing. I know this to be true. And there was always a leader naturally, and there was always somebody that was finishing the project.
yeah.
And
Yep.
that was us.
So we know that we can, if we do it ourselves, we'll get it done. But we're also like in this phase of being like, for this to grow, we need to pattern disrupt.
Mhm.
And, I'm like reading a book called 10x is easier than 2x right now, which is so timely with the same message. Like, we both know that to do things differently, we need to let go of tasks. So, what are some of the things that we will be outsourcing, Lydia?
We will be outsourcing social media posts. Something that we both like to do is we both like to be inspired and like write copy, or like I like to be inspired and like come up with the branding stuff, but that doesn't mean we need to be doing that all the time. And with the amount that we post, which I think is very impressive, it can be exhausting. And so we decided to delegate that to an intern in 2024. So we will be giving them tons of templates and letting them run with it. So that's something we're going to be doing. And then blogging. We love the idea of blogging on our site. I don't know if you've ever been on our blog. We call it our magazine, our visibility magazine, and where we interview some of our past clients. We also have written posts ourselves. We think it's great for SEO and great for added value, which is what we're all about on the just in visibility on purpose in general. But again, it can be very time consuming. So how can we delegate those tasks? We're going to have some interns that can help us blog on certain topics. So we'll be doing that as well. We have been talking about how we're going to move the needle next year. We have, and if you are listening, if you're a publisher, FYI, we're doing this, but we have been doing this in a lot of different companies and then also in publishing companies where we've been coming in and adding Pitch Party as a bundle piece in other people's containers. So if it's, say they have like a marketing package or they have a book launch where they know that adding Pitch Party into the book launch package is going to really help them with their visibility and sales and all of that stuff. We've been like teaming up with different businesses to do that, and we want to do that more. So we are going to be delegating some sales role outreach type of thing where we can find other companies that would really benefit from our products. We have so many at this point. We have like our visibility, our workshop, we have our from author to iconic, we have find your irresistible, we have pitch party, we have all these beautiful offers. How can we get them into really, really catered audiences that are going to benefit so they're not just sitting on our site? So that's something we're doing. And then SEO, we've been talking about that. So that is editorial, that is podcast, that's also keywords on the website. And that's why blogging is so important for us too. We want to keep adding those SEO pieces in. So these are all things that we could do ourselves, but we'd rather have somebody else do it for us or just like support us and help us so we don't feel like we need to do 1,000 tasks a day. So that's how you burn yourself out.
Yep. Yep. And you have your agency. Like, I have clients I work with. Like, we also have other things that we do. So we need this space to stay in our lane. And, I think this has also helped us come back to what was the vision that we had in the beginning of starting this company anyway, which was not us creating social media posts all day and marketing and selling our ass off. Like, it was having a community. It was teaching people about how to do PR for themselves. It was about helping brands that are doing really cool things, like improve their brand recognition and their reputation and like get their message out there. So yeah, coming back home to everything that we wanted to do anyway.
I love that. I love that so much. So I'm thinking maybe we can shift to what, after like reflecting on all of this, we had a few more questions, but it's getting a little lengthy. So I'm thinking like, what do we want to focus on in 2024 and our goals? Because we came up with some really amazing lofty goals, some very like tangible goals. And then also, what are our main projects for next year? Like, what are we looking to spend our time doing?
All right. Well, let's start with the podcast because we're here. We're here
Cool.
right now.
We're here on the pod.
The podcast. So we know that this is fun for us to do. We know that those who listen are receiving value. Like we have so many episodes talking about literally step by step on, what you need before you get featured, like how to update your website for getting featured, how to update like your headshots for getting featured, everything related to getting press and media for your company. You could binge these episodes and get a lot of value. Obviously, Pitch Party goes way deeper, but anywho, we have a goal of 1,000 downloads per episode. And let's give everyone the juice on where we're at right now. So we started this podcast a couple of months ago. And we are averaging, our top podcast has been around like 45 downloads an episode, and we're averaging around like 25. So we have some work to do
We
around
have
these
some work.
numbers.
Yeah, we
We
have
have
some
some
work to
work.
do. But we also just started. And Bridget and I can both get like, we can both get like, I don't know, just be like, okay, we're ready for the next step, ready for the next step, ready for the next step. So I am proud of us that we do have listeners that are clearly consistently listening to our show, because those numbers are consistent. But how do we grow it? So we've been talking about different avenues and different ways that we can grow it. Number one is to get really valuable guests on our show. We're looking for industry experts. We're looking for TV producers, magazine editors, big podcast hosts. We're looking for even TikTokers. So I've been all over the TikTok these days. But anyways, there are so many TikTokers that have really cool things to share, and they have a really big audience, and they are business owners in their own right. And they may not have even been on a podcast before. And I was like, God, that would be so fun to like grab some of their audience members over. Something that we really want to stay focused on are all these professionals, making sure that they also work with like other businesses, because that's what's going to support our audience. Like our audience, they're going to likely be business owners that are interested in learning how to get their visibility up and how to bring their business to the next level. So we're going to be focusing on that. If you know anybody, or if you are a amazing business owner yourself and you want to be on the pod, feel free to apply on our podcast page on our website. And then reviews, like things that like matter in the algorithms. Like reviews are so important, and shamelessly asking for them. So here is me shamelessly asking for a review. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, rate, and subscribe.
Please do. And again, we don't have ads running on this show yet. So we would really, really appreciate your support in sharing these episodes with a friend, with, people in your network, just anyone that you feel like would find value. Maybe they just want to hear us shoot the shit, which is also like totally fine, because we could also do that
We
all
could
day
easily.
long.
We could easily do that. Like, I want to say 20% of me and Bridget's business calls is just like us talking about like what we ate for breakfast and like what we're doing tomorrow.
I'm like, have you put your calendula salve on your hands yet, Lydia?
Wait, earlier today we were literally talking about like Ayurveda and like digestion and stuff for like 10 minutes, like a good 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, so my stomach's been like awesome these days. All I've been eating is pasta. She's like, your body actually likes simplicity and what you ate growing up. And we're like, oh, well, that went on a tangent. So anyways, we could talk.
We could talk.
We could talk. One of them was like pitching ourselves to shows. So,
Which
what's
is funny because
funny,
we've both been on so many shows
yeah,
individually.
yeah, we
So
have.
many. Less
So
together, which is funny. And this is
less
what we do.
together. Right, right. So we need to start like moving towards getting each other, or like getting on as a business together. I was gonna say as a couple.
We all know that this is my second marriage.
Yeah, yeah. This is our second marriage. This is our business marriage. So we want to pitch ourselves to podcasts. I mean, LOL to us be stepping into our visibility era, right? We are talking about this all day long. We can help business owners do this in our sleep, but when it comes to ourselves, we're ready for our next level of visibility as well. So this is us stepping into an even deeper level of our visibility era, which is getting ourselves on podcasts that we enjoy.
I love this. So that's the podcast goal. 1,000 downloads an episode is the goal, 100 to 200 reviews. So please help us out if you can. Some other things that are important are to be doing and going to more events and conferences.
Yeah.
Like on the ground, like literally on our 2 feet, going to these conferences in different industries, because remember, like we as a business also work, we serve many of different verticals. Like it's not just one type of business owner. So we really want to just expand like our knowledge.
Mhm.
We want to expand who we're in front of. And we both realize that we love being in person. Like we
Yeah.
feel most alive, magnetic, fun, like quirky ourselves in person.
And Bridget and I both have this like really amazing talent of bringing people together. I have been this way my entire life. Like, I just think back at my birthday being like a big deal just because it was the day where I could bring all the people that I love together. It
Mhm.
wasn't like the birthday, it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna call my friends from, you guys all know I'm from New Jersey. I'm like, I'm gonna call my friends from the city, from college, from the shore, from here, and everyone's gonna get together once a year for my birthday. And it was like an actual joke. Like, my friends would be like, oh, I can't wait to see blah, blah, blah at your birthday. Like, it was like an annual event. Okay. So I
I
think
also feel
about,
like you're the funniest person. Like you're so funny, and I feel like online, like people don't realize that you could be on stage with Tina Fey and with Matt Rife, and like you are a
oh
comedian.
my God, Tina Fey.
Is that who I mean? I'm like, I live under a rock.
No, no, that was impressive. I like Tina Fey. I was thinking, like, honestly, me and my friend were talking about doing stand-up comedy classes because I swear it's like not good. I think I'm really funny.
No, you're really, see, guys, she's really, really funny. Like,
Yeah, so if you want to hang out
I'm
with me
so
in
impressed.
person, oh my God, thank you. Just hang out with me in person and we'll just do like a full comedy skit. But I feel like the two of us are so good at bringing people together. And like Bridget has such a robust network in New Jersey, and I've built one just in 1 year being in Florida. I have this group of entrepreneurs, and I was telling Bridget, like, everybody has sent each other business. I literally broke down each person and who's bought from who and who has sent business to where. I have made people thousands of dollars already just by being a community connector. And so being that is so powerful because not only are people going to think of you as the go-to person for community, they're going to know about your business naturally. And they're going to really, really value you as a connector or as a colleague because you brought them business and friendship. What's more
Yep.
fun than that?
So
So
good. So
really being
in-person
in,
events,
yeah.
conferences, and our own events, like
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
has to happen.
Yeah, we need to like have an event. We were actually talking about doing one in January. So stay tuned if you're local in New Jersey. Yeah, we really want to do one in January. So we'll let you know if that's actually going to come to fruition. I'm sure you'll see about it with the million posts we do a day. Like, if you're if you're on our socials, you will hear about this. Oh
How could
man,
you
too
miss
good.
it? Okay, what else? So, a big thing that I think I've just like naturally loved doing this, and I think this was a little bit from what I did with publishing, is I would always look out and seek out partnership opportunities, ways that I could be an affiliate, or ways that someone could be an affiliate for my company, and really just like seeing those crossover connection points where you're in maybe different industries, but you don't offer similar services, but you have a similar ideal target client. So a big focus also for 2024 is set up more of those partnerships. So if you are a
Mhm.
publishing company and you're listening and you don't offer any sort of PR service, whether it's, DIY, which is what we offer, so Pitch Party, all of our digital courses, or if you ever need done for you services, Lydia has an entire agency. So like we have the contacts there. So setting up those partnerships and relationships, if you ever want to be an affiliate of our company, we know that, community connections, all of that is what can, help grow a company. Because if you believe in our brand, if you've seen results from our programs, share them away with your people too.
Yeah, and we were just talking about how much fun it was that we were able to pay out our affiliates for our last,
I like
yeah,
had a
for our
ritual.
last
I was like
workshop.
playing music. It was so much fun.
Oh my God.
Well, there's like these prosperity mantras that I like to play while I do it.
Yeah, yeah. These are like the things that happen behind the scenes. We both like before launches or anything, we're like, hey, I'm gonna do a meditation. I'm like, me too. Sit in the wish fulfilled. Cool. And these are just our ways of like getting excited about stuff. So, whatever, do what you gotta do. But yeah, it was really fun. We were able to pay out some of our affiliates. Some of them were sending their clients to our From Author to Iconic workshop. We may have even had some for pitch party, I'm not sure. Which I feel like we may have. Yeah.
No,
No, no,
no,
not yet,
we
not yet.
didn't.
But it
Not
does
yet.
track, which is really cool. So like if you do send some people to our workshops, like some of our lower ticket things, and then they're excited to buy pitch party or find your irresistible, which are, higher investments, the system does track it. So it's like for a lifetime. So it tracks it and we know exactly where these people come from, which is really, really cool. So if you're a tech nerd too and you like the affiliate stuff on the back end, Kajabi, very robust. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so we were talking about that and then conferences. So I have been seeing so many conferences happen in Miami, and I think because it's very much like a business hub, there's a lot of businesses down in South Florida. I think it's because there's no income tax, which is definitely a huge benefit, kind of like Austin, Texas. There's a lot of
Is
companies
there no
there.
income tax there?
Wait, I thought there wasn't in Texas.
I'll do a research.
Yeah. Okay, don't quote me, but I know that Delaware has like no taxes too. And so that's also like a little hub for, I believe, tech. So anyways, there are a lot of conferences, which is the point of the story in Miami, and I haven't really invested any of them. I've just been on the sidelines like watching them happen. So we were talking about going to more conferences because that's what really moves the needle. And how many times even going to that Dr. John event, we went in South Florida,
Yep.
like we had met like what, 4 or 5 people there. It just in one shot. That was one
Yep.
night. 4 or 5 people that are now contacts on Instagram and like follow our business. And so it's just so important to realize that what you're doing online, you can do like 10 times faster in person because connections are just different that way.
And like to see someone's body language, to
Mhm.
really to be in someone's space. I know that sounds very ethereal, but there is something, it's kind of like right away. You can kind of tell, like, are you
Yeah.
enjoying being around this person? And I think it's, yeah, like you said, it's so much faster, it's so much quicker. I feel like I can be even more of myself, which is funny because I feel like I'm very like open,
Yeah.
using social media. But yeah, I really appreciate it. And you're right about Austin, Texas. There's a Business Insider article how
I'm like,
Austin,
I think.
Texas lured 67,000 new residents last year.
Yep.
You're
I
right.
mean, I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan like had something to do with that, but also income tax for those
Income tax.
entrepreneurs. It's a real thing. So,
It really is.
gosh, I was actually doing some numbers for myself around income tax last year when I was playing with my taxes. As a business owner, you're always tracking like how much money you're bringing in, how much money you're spending, what your taxes look like, all of that. Once you get to those really high numbers, low income tax, no income tax is so fucking cost effective.
Okay, do I need to move now?
I mean, we've talked about this. Whenever
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
ready, Florida will welcome you with open arms. So
Thank
you
you.
just come on down.
By the way, I live in like the most heavily taxed
State.
state.
Yep. New Jersey does not fuck around. Actually, oh my God, did I send it to you? I think I did. I saw an article that said something about New York City charging $15 a day just to like, or $25 a day, something
Oh yeah,
ridiculous.
you did.
Yep, just to drive around in Midtown.
Yep.
And and I actually saw Governor Murphy writing something about it, saying that they were basically targeting New Jersey commuters, which makes sense
I mean,
because,
they do that in certain areas of like Europe where you can only drive your car in like the center city if you are like a resident of that area to eliminate, congestion, basically.
yeah, yeah. So New Jersey is just getting fucked. Like, in order to, I
Guys.
mean, I just remember when I was younger, the train ticket round trip from Long Branch was $15. Now I think it's close to 50.
I thought it was like
50.
16 each way,
Right,
but I could be
16 each
wrong.
way. So
Shouldn't I know
that's
this? Husband is a conductor, should know this, but
honestly, maybe ask him. Let's like post about this later. I'm just curious.
we'll let you guys know.
We'll let you guys know if you want to know how much money you're spending as a New Jersey resident. But yeah, it's like, you got to think about this stuff. So,
Okay.
I don't know how we digressed on
Okay,
that,
let's
but
close it up. So
yeah.
biggest things, getting in front of other people's audiences, the partnerships, potentially looking into ads to just expand the reach and getting in front of new audiences that we likely wouldn't get through organically. Events, conferences, our own podcast, connecting with really great guests, being on other people's shows, focusing on SEO. Yeah, I think those are the biggest things. So
Those
watch
are the
out, world.
things. Watch out, world. So, if you listened to this episode and you found this really valuable, hopefully it gave you some aha moments of maybe like areas that you need to look at for your business or maybe areas that you want to focus on. Let us know. We love to hear your feedback. Also, feel free to leave a review about this episode because we are trying to get those 200 reviews next year, which is really going to help move the needle for us. And I hope that you really enjoyed another episode of Visibility Hour. This was a bonus.
This was a good one. Wait, I have to plug our Finder Irresistible just one more
Oh,
time.
yeah,
I
plugger,
mean,
plugger.
this is the whole reason that I feel like this episode happened is I think we're both in this like reflective. I feel like end of year is just like reflective mode, right? Everyone
Yeah.
sets their New Year's intentions. Like I'm even with my yoga class next week, we're gonna do, like 2023 year in review, and then we're gonna do the next week after that, like 2024 goals. And I just feel like it's that time where you are thinking through these things. So,
Mhm.
if you're anything like me and you've changed what you've done so many times, like I've shifted, I've pivoted, I've opened businesses, I've changed what I'm doing. And in all of that, you always need to be asking yourself, what is my message? How am I positioned in this industry? What results do I provide? What is my methodology? What is my process? Like, how do I get someone from point A to point B? What makes my business unique? And you as a founder, you are going to be the one who's being interviewed. If you're an author, if you're the founder of a company, they can't interview the book, they're going to be interviewing you. So having, okay, let's,
That always makes me laugh because it's true, but like I always think about a book that like they're like interviewing an object. Okay. Anyway.
anywho, you have to be the personality. So thinking about how do you want to talk about yourself? How do you want to be talking about the company? And I've been at so many networking events lately where people are like, I'm rebranding, or like, I really want to work on my message because it feels outdated. I feel like that's what I hear a lot. And it's because you're pivoting or you're evolving, and likely things are going really well. And it's just that things have changed. So Find Your Irresistible was a course created by Lydia, and it's all about reflecting on, these 4 key pillars, which are the authenticity, the personality, the messaging, the positioning to help you move forward in that next direction. So it is really that tune up for your brand.
Yeah, it's that oil change. She said that the other day, and I was like, what a genius way to describe this course. It's literally an oil change. Oh,
I
I
mean,
love it.
how bad? Okay, who else goes too long between an oil change, right? Just like who else, it takes too long to review their messaging.
We're raising our hands. It happens. So let's not let our cars suffer. Let's keep her nice and squeaky, oiled up. All right, on that note, I'm going to end this for us.
Okay, this was so good. Lydia, this is amazing.
This was so fun. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast.